Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Walker, I'm so glad that you're here. Quick story, and just kind of because it speaks to how cool the ultra running community is. But you and I met on Instagram. Well, this is the first time we've ever met in person, actually. But it's funny because I kind of feel like I know you.
Yeah, same.
Social media and all that. And it's just cool to see. I don't even remember how it happened, but we started following each other on social media and kind of, I'll call it rooting for each other.
Pretty much.
As people are running and training and all that good stuff. So it's just cool to see. It's really fun for me because I've seen, especially in the ultra running community, digital friends turn into real friends.
Just run buddies, essentially.
It's awesome. So it's fun to meet you. It's so fun to have you, here in person. For everybody listening, we're in Moab, Utah right now, which, didn't have to twist my arm to have an excuse to pop down to Moab. But super excited at the opportunity to pick your brain. I know that originally you're from Grand Junction and hence the name West Slope Walker.
You got it,
Makes
man.
some sense.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's where it started. Absolutely.
I'm obviously, super excited to pick your brain about running. But before we do, I would love to hear a little bit of your background, some of your story. I think it's fascinating. Moab, we were actually just talking off air about how Moab has just exploded in terms of growth and things like that. And it's definitely a tough place to make it. So I'd love to hear your story of how you ended up here, how you're making it work and all that stuff.
Yeah, no. My wife and I, we used to live in Grand Junction. We lived there about 10 years. That's where I met her and everything. We got married. We have a little boy. And before we moved here, she has experience in insurance in general. She's done medical billing insurance. She's worked for a State Farm agent down there as well. And then Brittany Melton, State Farm agent up here, she reached out to my wife Blake, and she was like, hey, if we can make it work, are you able to come up here and work in office? She needs some help. And that's one thing you'll probably notice more about Moab. And employment is kind of hard. Employment housing is hard. It's expensive here. But what's nice about Brittany is she doesn't just look at some monetary help. She has a way with making things work. When she wants something, she's able to get it, and she was able to figure out housing for us up here. And although it's expensive, it's not killing us too much. So my wife worked up here for, several months, and then I was doing mortgages actually for Guild Mortgage there for almost 3 years. And Brittany was able to talk to me. She was like, hey, I need some more help. You want to come in here, check it out? And then that's kind of how I got started in insurance here about a little over a year now. And then me and my wife, we both work for State Farm, and it's kind of fun working with my wife. It was hard at first, actually, working with your wife. Some boundaries had to be set, and my wife, she's a beast at her job, so I'm still learning. It's a beast world learning that. But we kind of found our home here in Moab recently, and with it being able to work with housing and everything, we've kind of just been able to settle in this community, get involved with the running and stuff. So that's great.
I want to hear more about that because I think Moab, it's such a special place. I was telling you off camera, I feel like I grew up here. We've always vacationed down here and things like that. Yeah. I would just be fascinated to hear what's it like being a local in Moab.
No, and local is a very strong term here. I've come to realize that. Sometimes I don't even like calling myself a local.
That's a good point.
Because, you get families, generations who have been here forever. My last name's Walker, and there's a lot of Walkers here in town. And so they were like, who are you related to? I'm just like, I don't know anybody, really.
You should just fake it.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to do that because I'm just like, I know Jeff, whoever. Jeff's up there. But no, it's just, it's kind of crazy being a local now. We go through seasonality. I'm sure it's similar to Durango and stuff. Summers are just popping. Winters are calm and quiet, super nice. But it's just kind of crazy how we've been able to form ourselves in this community, trying to just get more involved with it. So yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting because it's middle of April right now for anybody listening. Mm-hmm. And driving in, I was telling Josh off camera, I was like, I'll have no problem finding a campsite at 3:00 on a Thursday.
Good luck, man.
And it was all booked up. I was like, man,
good luck.
I was telling my brother, it's you'd think it's the Jeep Safari weekend.
Oh, dude.
It's so busy, and it's just a normal week down here.
Yep.
From a economic perspective, because I know, and I'd imagine, I don't know exactly how, the insurance world works from a compensation perspective, but it seems like it's kind of a sales gig. I don't know if it's commission based or whatever. Does the influx of tourism help or hurt from a job standpoint?
Yeah, good question. What I kind of notice here with insurance here is we're getting a lot of people moving in from out of state. We get a lot of people from California, Washington, Idaho, even people jumping from Colorado to Utah. So not too much tourism unless they end up finding a place here. But it's more just people are just starting to move to Utah. And what's kind of nice about being able to have a license in Utah, we can write anywhere here in the state.
Oh, right.
So we got like Blanding, we got Monticello, anywhere down south. So we're able to kind of secure ourselves in this position here. And having a good name like State Farm definitely does help because I feel like they've really positioned themselves well compared to some insurance companies here the last few years, especially with like COVID and stuff, inflation. But it's been a very fortunate position that me and my wife have been in to work for State Farm doing insurance and stuff here. And we've met a lot of cool people through insurance.
Yeah.
Too, so.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I'm fascinated with it because candidly, I sort of envy it.
Yeah.
Like I think, obviously I get to live in Durango. It's an amazing place.
No, absolutely.
But if I were to like tier, places, Moab would be at the top of the list. Yeah. I also think it's interesting that you guys were able to, a restart as a family. Yep. Tell me more about that. Was that challenging? Was that a welcome thing? Is something you were seeking out?
No, it's kind of crazy because my family lives in like Delta, Colorado, born and raised there. They still live there. My sister lives there. And then my wife's family, they all live in Grand Junction, and they were pretty much practically born and raised there too. So we're all lifelong locals to the western slope of Colorado. But then, this opportunity came for my wife to move over here to work for State Farm. And we were just like, you want to live in Moab you want to give it a shot? And so we're just like, let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? We live in Moab, we get to go, check it out, the beautiful scenery. We got some trails. My wife's not too big on the trails, but I mean, that's kind of how my running kind of got started when we moved here. Our biggest thing was just our little boy. He was getting settled in the school up there. They had a great school. So we were just like, that was probably the biggest sacrifice because he loved it, his classmates and everything. But yeah, we made the jump over here. We got, a little bit of space that we've never really experienced before from our families.
From the family, yeah.
Exactly. And we didn't know, I guess, how much that reliance both ways too. We had my mom there. She can watch my little boy whenever we needed to. It was kind of just like that. So we kind of had to learn how to grow in a different way on our own. And we're fairly young for having a little boy right now too. So it was just kind of like a cool thing. Got the opportunity here. Worst case, we live in Moab for a year, and then if it's bad, we'll go back home.
I like that mindset on it. Has it made your family unit closer? Has it been challenging?
Yeah. It's been challenging, but not in the ways that I would say that we thought it would be. We love it. We kind of we like our space. We miss our families, and luckily Grand Junction, Delta.
Not that far.
Hour and a half.
It's almost actually like the perfect distance.
Exactly.
It's just far enough that they can't pop down, but close enough that, help is
if we need
a little bit away.
Exactly. And, if we got birthdays or anything, we can just head down to, Western Slope and then go see them, come back here, make a day trip out of it, if anything.
Right.
Go to the big city of Grand Junction, go load up at Sam's Club or whatever. So, but yeah, no, it's been it's been more of a blessing than I would say a challenge than anything. No complaints here. We love it. It's great.
You touched on it a little bit, which you were reading my mind, but I was going to ask what came first, running or Moab?
Oh gosh. Well, I ran. I didn't know I used running really as like a coping mechanism, like growing up and stuff. I was in cross country, high school track and all that, and I loved it. And then once college kind of hit, I kind of lost that. I didn't have, I would say, the most support that I feel like I needed out of school, but I mean, that's how we learn. So I kind of lost it a little bit. I did some like turkey trots, stuff like that, try to, keep the feet fast and
Right.
stuff. But no, I really didn't find my itch into running until I moved here. And then I
Wow.
was like, I gotta take advantage of this, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And you're here, you can go any direction, find trails for days.
Yeah.
So it made it super easy to just start it and just go.
That's remarkable. It's interesting, and I think you know him at least through social media. But my friend Sean Arocha,
Yes.
he was on the show a while back. But
He actually went to Zion too.
yeah. He similar time frame at least. I think it's interesting. So I'm excited to pick your brain about that, because he also has been running for a year, 18 months, or whatever, how long.
Yeah.
I've been running my whole life.
Yeah.
I would say I've definitely been. I ran my first marathon in 2019.
Okay.
I ran my first half marathon in 2014.
So you've just been
So I've
building
been, but that's what I'm getting at is I've had a pretty slow, steady.
You're doing it the right way though.
I look back and, I ran my first 100 a couple weeks ago, and we'll dive into those. But, that's 10 years of running for me by the time, literally 10 years of at least a half marathon or longer, running. You're over here 18 months at most, a year into it, and crushing it. And it's been so cool. And for anybody listening, if you want to have some inspiration from a running perspective, follow West Slope Walker on Instagram, because the content you put out, it's so entertaining. It's authentic and fun. And, sometimes it's as simple as like showing your watch and what the workout is on cue and getting it done and whatever. But I think it's really interesting to have seen how rapidly you've progressed in the running world. And, and for anybody listening, Josh just ran, I'm going to ask you a lot about it, but just ran the Zion 100, almost sub 24. I think you were right around 24 hours.
No, I was about 28 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, but still, but to go from essentially not running, or 5Ks, as you said, to crushing 100-milers in a year or so is incredible. Yeah. Walk me through that. I want to hear. I want to hear as much about that as you'll let me.
Yeah.
As far as you mentioned it being a coping mechanism, the amazing opportunities in Moab and things like that. But I would just love to hear how that has progressed over the last year, because it really is. Yeah, it's remarkable.
No, it's. I always I look back to when I first started, and I hear anybody who goes from a 5K to a 100-miler in a year, you're bound to hear some injury stories or something, because you're cranking up your mileage pretty quick, I would say. But it all started, I would say, at the end of 2022, and starting on 2023. And the year 2023 is kind of big for me. My brother, when I was about 12 years old, he passed away. He was in the military, and then he just got home, and he was driving home from California to visit us at home in Delta, and he ended up getting in a car accident on the way home. It was hard. It was in the middle of the night. Probably one of the worst nights of my life, my family's life. And the reason why 23 really sticks out is 23 was his basketball number and everything. He loved Michael Jordan, so.
I'm sorry, but when was the accident? How many years ago?
It was in 2005.
Okay.
So I was 12 years old. So, and it's crazy when you get to a point where someone who passed away longer than you know them alive, especially a sibling. It's just like, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird, somber feeling that you get. But with my brother's number being 23, I always attach myself. I see it all the time. I don't know if it's like one of those things where, you buy a red Jeep, you see red Jeeps everywhere. Right. But I see 23 all the time, especially for the year 2023. I didn't want to go to waste. So, I really decided to just, put myself into gear and just go for whatever I wanted to. I ended up running my first trail half marathon in January at Arches. And it's crazy because I look back and I was like, man, and it is a big deal. It's such a big deal. But I look back on it and I was just like, so pumped up, get my family together. You're going to watch me crush this in a few hours. And then, I know I just caught the bug, I just was like, okay, I can go more than this. And then I ended up signing up for my first, 55K at Grand Mesa Ultra. And it's funny because I ended up running an ultra before I ran a marathon.
That is wild.
So I thought that was kind of cool. But The hardest thing for me though was I always questioned myself whether I was doing right with my training. So I needed to hire a coach who's done it before. So I hired a coach, Coach Abe Baggio. He's amazing. He's done some long, crazier. He did Moab 240, 100. I saw him on Instagram as well. So it's funny how the running community on Instagram
isn't it great?
Dude, it's great.
Quick anecdote, but the I have made like legitimate lifelong friends from the running community and social media. And I've been always a pretty active social media. I mean, I do social media marketing for a living. I mean, I have never seen a community that rallies like ultra runners. There is something about it that, like, literally in the last year, I've made dozens of
everyone's great,
true friends. So anyway, it's cool to see, and I've got a belief that, especially now where so many people are struggling, with mental health and loneliness, and it's just life's hard right now. Right. And I think sometimes social media can be a negative trajectory for people if it's not used properly. Absolutely. And I'm so grateful for the ultra run. I mean, it's why we're talking right now.
No, that's how we got here.
Having that intentionality behind like connecting with like-minded people on social media. Yeah. I just think that's important for everybody, whether they're ultra runners or not. Just, because it's I mean, even algorithmically, you start to engage with good stuff, you get more good stuff, bad stuff, more bad stuff. But anyway, quick anecdote, but cool to know that, you connected with your coach on Instagram, and
that's just how it happened. It was funny because I shot him a message, and then he didn't message me back for like a month or something like that. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But then he messaged me. He's like, yeah, I got a spot for you. Let's set up a call. Let's get a plan going for you, and then let's just see how it goes. And then at that same time, I signed up for a 50 miler as well at the Crested Butte down there in September. So I had the 55K at Grand Mesa. It was so hard. It was still one of the hardest races I've done. It took me like 8 hours to do a 50K. But I mean, I was pumped. I was like, I've never done this before.
But you did
so
it. Exactly.
I did it. And it was great. And then, building off of that, you get to September and at the Crested Butte. And I guess throughout this all, the running community here in Moab, they're great. We're not very big. We're always trying to get people to come in and, run with us or, hang out. But some of my lifelong friends, they're just runners,
I was going to ask you, because your email is Moab Run Club or something at Gmail. Did you start a? So
it's
club?
Kind of in the process for it.
Cool.
Something that about Moab is you get a lot of mountain bike shops. You get a lot of
obviously a lot of Jeeps.
Yeah, a lot of Jeeps. You get there's some Gear Trader here is amazing. But I don't have anything here for like my running. I need to go get my electrolytes. I need to go get my fuel. I need to go get some new shoes. I need to get socks, tape. I wish there was just one single spot where I can just get it all. So it's kind of in the process to get a nice little hub here, just for that, because there's runners all over this place. And we have Mad Moose here, which is such a great organization that puts on races here. You got like the U100 ran by, I believe that's Revenant Running. They're great too. So it's a running
the 240
and 240. You got this this place full of runners without like a kind of a home in a way. So and whether people would want to come support whatever I have and want to create, regardless, it would just be good to just provide some type of service for the runners here. But the running community here is so great. But like I said, lifelong friends here that have helped me push to this 100-miler goal that I've been able to somehow achieve here in the time that I've been here. So I got to Crested Butte, 50-miler, crazy. You start before the sun, and I finished right when the sun was coming down. And it's just like the stuff that you go through, ups and downs, and the sicknesses, how much you want to quit, how much it hurts, and you're just grinding it out one step at a time. And after that 50-miler, I didn't think I would want to do anything more than that. But once the pain starts to go away, you feel better, get a jog in, and you're just like, what's going on here in a few months?
It's a problem.
Oh my gosh. And then I messaged my coach. I was like, I think I want to do a 100-miler. And he was pumped for me. Started a new training block to get ready for it. And then, just went throughout the winter cold months and everything, spring. And then, we geared up for it this past weekend and we were able to get it done. So
you crushed it.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to watch, keep it up to speed on it on social media and all that, and looking for the updates. And you didn't do nearly as many updates as I was hoping for, but I did get the finishing updates at least.
No, it was funny. I was even telling my wife, she was like, "You can tell when I got serious with my running is because I stopped recording."
Yeah,
I was like, and that happened at mile 15. I was like, I just got to focus on this stuff. But yeah, no, I loved it. It was such a cool experience. And I'm sure that you understand just this whole new level that you didn't even think that, that you would even experience at all, especially going through the night and everything. It's just, holy cow, people do this.
Yeah.
And a similar feeling, I'm starting to feel good and I'm already swiping already. I'm just like, what am I doing?
4 days after 100 miler. It's crazy. It took me 2 weeks at least to start swiping, but when I ran Buffalo and you know this, but for everybody listening, I saw the sunrise twice.
Oh yeah.
So
same.
We started.
Same.
And that's like, sometimes I think that sometimes I think that illustrates the size of it better than 100 miles.
Yeah.
I finished in right at 30 hours.
So same thing.
And it's just a remarkable experience. Sometimes I struggle to articulate it. I had Josh Rosenthal on the podcast a while back from.
I think I saw him. Yeah,
and he was at Zion actually.
I passed him when I was finishing. He was going down at, I think he was at mile 80. He actually asked me, he's like, "How long's the stretch? Is it 20 miles?" I was like, "Yeah, it's 20 miles, man." Like,
you're gonna feel all of them.
Good luck, dude.
Yeah.
No, I actually met him briefly.
And in fact, speaking of the community, and I'm going somewhere with that, but Josh came out to Buffalo Run on a training run before Zion, just to find me on the trail while I was running, and it meant so much to me. It's so cool. Another one of those examples of how cool this space is. Yep. But what I'm getting at is. He mentioned when we had our conversation is that every ultra runner is at least part-time philosopher.
Oh God. Amen.
And I don't know if it's, and then you ask, okay, is it chicken or egg? Or do people who have a tendency to philosophize, philosophers, whatever the word is on life, are they attracted to ultra running, or does the idea of ultra running make you start to, have philosophy because you have so much time on the trails? But
absolutely,
coming back to the number 23 and 2023, I'd love to hear, because I totally first of all really respect how challenging overcoming a loss like that can be, and to do it in a healthy way I think is especially unique. What I'm curious about is just generally processing that, that entire event. And then obviously the significance of the year 23.
Yeah.
You had mentioned kind of this idea of, I'm going to make it the best possible.
Yep.
I'm curious if you had ideas of how that might look, or were you trying new things? Like, how did you end up landing ultimately on running? And then the follow up to that would be, was that in pursuit of processing, healing, or was that in pursuit of making the most of the year? Like, was it trying to, make it the best year, be the best you could be, or a combination of both?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it was more, anything that I did or chose to do, I just wanted to just kind of do it all out.
All in.
Whether
it was running or anything.
Yep. And I mean, I had the constant reminder every time I look at the date, I would see 2023. So I had that constant reminder every single day to just, get after it. You got to do something. I feel like the more I feel like stale or feel like I'm not progressing, I can go like into like a, depressive shell or something like that. As I feel like that's pretty common with anybody. But I feel like I had some sort of pressure with it being 2023, or I attached myself to that. And I wanted to just really, really just put myself into this and, really consistently get better at this thing, and I think it worked out with running, and I liked running just because it's something I was good at, naturally good at. And it really wasn't until I consistently trained, I would say for 4 to 6 months, that's how I used to kind of get through my stuff back when I was younger and stuff. And, you get those runner's high and everything, you just break down when you're running sometimes. And it's just like, I just felt any time that I was running, I was always in the right place at the right time. And I just felt very attached, either aligned with what I believed, or I felt aligned with, like, I could feel my brother every time I run. So I just, I just knew I was in the right place at the right time every time I did it. And every time I didn't do it, I knew I would be missing out on something, especially when I knew I could still do it, you know? So that's just like, you know, it's so funny because, I feel like everyone knows when they're slacking. And that having that constant reminder of, like, now you got to keep going. It just pushed me to be smart about, like, my training, my eating, my hydration, my stretches, I got to be more consistent with it because I wanted to do something. I wanted to be healthy for it. I wanted to feel good. I didn't want to just complete a 50 miler or 100 miler. I wanted to feel good doing these things too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how I got attached with running, for it. And it just kind of, you know, every day, if you're just going to get 1% better every single day, eventually you're going to be better than you were. And then it was just really cool to see my work finally just, like, kind of pay off on these races. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And now that you have it, you don't ever want to lose it.
Right.
You know, if my friend hits me up for a 20-mile run, I'm happy that I'm able to say, yeah, let's go do a 20-mile run right now. So, and it's just such a cool feeling. And, you know, it brings me joy that I'm able to do this and, you know, share with others, like, how I got here too. So
first of all, I loved that statement of, I always felt like I was at the right place at the right time when I was running.
Yeah.
What an interesting concept to think about. Like, and not even necessarily almost from a physical space, but just that you knew you were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I relate to that so much. And, you know, it's interesting too, at least my journey, it sounds similar to yours, at least, that, yeah, the goals are important. Like, running a 100-miler mattered. Yeah. And that was I'm so proud of the fact that, you know, that did that. I got I was saying,
badass.
Yeah, like, that's cool. But for me, more important was who I became on the process to the goal. Like, you know, and we both just ran spring 100 milers. My winter was a little bit different than yours in Moab, but you know, I mean, it required, I can't even tell you how many snowstorm runs and dark mornings and treadmill sessions and, you know, all that stuff. And that's what I think has been so interesting about my affinity for the ultra running world and the ultra running community. I have yet to meet an ultra runner without depth. Yeah. You know, without, like, some incredible traits and qualities and, you know, people of just amazing people. And I almost think that it's because of the process, not because of, like, the races are fun. Yeah. And that's when we get to meet each other and stuff. Like, that stuff's great. But, you know, sticking with it, and to your point of, you know, you can tell when you're slacking, so to speak, and kind of having that, it turns you into somebody who I love. For me, the version of myself that is disciplined and, you know, sticking with it all. It also, you know, keeps me in a healthy, a healthy way. Yeah. What I'm curious about for you and your story is, it seems like you've got a really great perspective on personal development and growth and, you know, community and all these great traits. Whenever I hear somebody who has that and who has that out of real adversity, like which you've experienced, I think is, you know, especially powerful. It's one thing to be, you know, optimistic and you know, all that when life's easy. When life's hard, that's a whole nother story. I'd love to hear a little more about where that comes from. Like, you know, because you've got this, like, I can even already tell talking to you, you've got this kind of almost stoic, positive attitude of, like, you know, working on it. Right. And you'd even talked about, you know, liking who you are when you're there, being in the right place at the right time and all that good stuff. The alternative would be so easy and nobody would, you know, judge it or anything. Where did those roads fork? How did you end up with this mindset that you've got?
You know, I think any type of adversity really, you know, strengthens anyone who goes through and gets through it. And over time, you're just can kind of be a stronger person because of it. I mean, I experienced the death of my brother, and that was the worst thing ever. But what comes with that is kind of the person I am today because of that. I'm able to be more kind. I'm able to be more thoughtful, just because you kind of know what it feels like for that. And then even like growing up through high school, my home life wasn't always the best. My parents loved me and everything. It was just kind of a hard home situation with them because it's hard to remember that your parents are still growing up when you're growing up too. And in that case, both of my parents were still in the growing up process.
And they had a huge loss.
I mean, I can't imagine. I have a little boy now. I could imagine losing my little boy. It'd be the worst thing in the world. Literally the worst. And you have 3 little boys?
I've got 2 boys and a daughter.
No, so I mean, you know exactly. And it's just like your whole world comes tumbling down. And the only thing that really heals it is time. Eventually it gets better. And then, like I said, without that happening, I don't think I would be where I am today. But I know just like adversity in general really just, it kind of humbles you, it calms you down, something I noticed from my 100-miler is the few days after, nothing really bothered me after it. It was like something happened. I was like, all right, that's fine. I even noticed it this week with insurance. I had to make some tough calls. I was like, I could do it. I'm fine. I'll make these tough calls. I'm totally good. It's kind of like I wouldn't say it's a numbing effect, but it's just like, you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've made it through this. This isn't anything. You're good.
Isn't that powerful? So, I own my company and so I have a significant amount of stress normally just with running a business and being a parent and whatever. Yeah. But there's a joke at my office that after I run an ultra, you get Zen Ben for a little bit.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know how I feel about it, but it is because you know what I think it is, because it's so true and it is funny. Ben, I stress out about so much stuff, but even today we've got a project that's in the works. The deadline of it's tomorrow. Yeah. Long story short, some of the video files got corrupted. Anyways, it's whatever, a normal thing, but there's problems that need to be solved. And I was talking to one of my employees on the phone this morning, and I'm like, it's just digital marketing. Yeah. Like there's things worth our stress, and this isn't one of them.
You're right. Absolutely.
And I think
absolutely.
And it's interesting to like contemplate how come we end up there after ultra running. Yeah. Potentially it's because we were in a ton of physical pain and things like that. Also, obviously, potentially there's the idea that we got to process some stuff while we were out there. But I almost wonder, and I don't know this for sure, but I've thought that to me, it feels natural. And like, I wonder sometimes if we forget how far humans have evolved. That, there's a high likelihood we literally used to run ultras to get food.
Right. No, I had this exact same conversation with like my cousin. He was actually my pacer, and we're just like, our ancestors are looking down at us and be like, oh, you're fine. Yeah. You do this.
You got electrolytes and stuff. Like, you're good to go.
Yeah. You got your aid station with some hot food coming up. You'll be fine. So I'm just like, I can do this. I'll be okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But, and that's the thing too. You talked about adversity and like how it's framed sort of your view on the world. And I think that's one thing that being part of the ultra running community has taught me too, is I guess I'll call it empathy. Yeah. But there's something about ultra runners. I mean, you share miles with people and you start chatting and whatever, and everybody's so authentic and vulnerable and like willing to be real. Right. And then you start to realize like literally everybody's fighting a battle. Yeah. Everybody's fighting a battle. And it changes the way you interact with the rest of the world. Yeah. Because it's like, I'm trying to think how to explain it. Patient maybe, I don't know what, your take on it is, but you kind of touched on that. Yeah.
No, I feel like, when people are at mile 80, 90, I don't know. I feel like that really shows your genuine self at some point. You're going to see people coming in with like, groin rash and everything. They just need some diaper cream or something like that. Here you are, buddy. And they're the happiest person in the whole world. Same with like, I had to call my wife at like mile 90, and she hated when she talked to me on the phone because I sound like I was hurting, and I was hurting, but it was just like, I don't know. It's just kind of hard to, I'll put words to it. You're just, you're pretty much stripped down of everything.
It's raw.
Yeah, it's completely raw. You're stripped down of everything you have. You want to do this other thing, but you can't. You can, but if you do, then you're going to feel bad about it once this thing's done. But it's just like you're completely. I think that's a great word for it. You're completely raw. You're completely vulnerable in the situation, and I feel like when people see you in that position, it almost in a way sets you free, just because you're like, yeah, this is me. I'm not as like tough or as strong as you think I am or anything like that, but this is me. I'm trying.
I'm struggling.
I'm struggling, but I'm trying. So,
and then at the same time, capable of so much.
Yeah.
Like that's where, and one of the things I've learned from it is that we are all capable of so much more than we think. Oh, yeah. And it's a message I want like other people to hear. Yeah. Like literally everyone. If anybody's even listening right now, you are more capable than you realize. Yeah. But it's interesting to think of like how those two happen simultaneously. Like you've got to be vulnerable and, in pain and like struggling to also show how strong you are.
Right.
They seem kind of,
you don't get one without the other.
Contradicting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about Zion. I want to hear about your takeaways. I think it's crazy that we're 4 days after and you're even podcasting, let alone, because for anybody listening, 4 days after I guess I went to work. Oh, I did go to work, but man, I couldn't even put shoes on yet. I was rocking my sandals and, suffer vest, and you seem like you're doing well, but I'd love to hear about the race and your thoughts afterwards.
Yeah. No, Zion was, oh man, it's such a good experience. I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, would you do it all over again?
Was she your crew?
She was my crew.
Cool.
Yeah, no. And it was a fun experience for her. We did I had 100K that we did kind of just routed out here around town.
About that.
And so I had to do that. And she was our crew there. And so she had to meet us at all these certain points to just get her warmed up for it.
She's like training to be crew.
Exactly. And she's all nervous and everything. She's like, I just don't want to mess up. And I'm just like, oh, you'll be fine. Just be at these points at this time and you'll be fine. No, Zion was just, it was crazy. It was the first race I was not nervous or shaky for.
Wow.
Which I don't know. Some of these races, I feel like in the mornings, I can't hold myself still just because I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. But I felt totally at peace with it. I think the biggest thing that I really enjoyed with it is I knew this was the only thing I had to focus on for these next 36 hours. And once I know that I just have the space to just do this, I could tell my nerves just shoot down. It's like, this is what you got to do, buddy. That's it. So, and you're ready for it. I've been able to put in the work for it. So I felt fully confident in finishing this thing. We get up early in the morning and, I get my gear on, eat a couple sandwiches in the morning. That's been the hardest thing. It's just learning how to eat and run at the same time. But, all my family's there, and I haven't had my whole family together. I don't know the last time I went. So it was just such a meaningful weekend to just start it off with. And we're in like beautiful like Hurricane, Utah, and it's great.
Did your whole family help crew, or they were just there at the beginning?
Well, kind of. Some of these rules with vacation races, they look pretty strict, but then when you get to the actual stations, it's just a party anyway. Yeah. So it's like, so the first one was a little bit more, and then by the end of it
kind of evolved.
Yeah, and everyone's just having a good time. So, so my wife, everyone's there. They shoot the gun. We go off and everything, and it's still like early in the morning. I actually met some other people from Instagram right at the start line.
How
too.
Cool.
It's so fun. We ran the first 15, 20 miles together, and, you feel good. You're like, oh man, I got this. This is going to be good. This is going to be easy. I'm not going to hurt. And then we make this decline down to our first crew aid station and see my wife, get some fuel, start eating. It's just having a good time. And then, sun comes up, it gets hot. There wasn't a cloud in the sky.
What time did it start?
It started at 5.
Okay.
Yep. So I started at 5 o'clock. I think I made the first aid station at mile 26 around 10 o'clock or something. So it was just starting to get hot. It was a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, but then
almost too hot. Though.
Yeah, no, it gets hot. Our next, I would say 10, 15 mile stretch, we're in the desert, just going up and down these hills and these canyons. Almost jumped on a snake, and that scared the crap out of me. But I was just focusing on just, staying hydrated, trying to eat, even though I didn't want to eat, just because I knew I'll be hungry, or I'm going to be needing that energy here in a few hours. Yeah. And the first 30, I would say 33 miles, it was pretty good. You kind of realize you're like, okay, I can hang here. My training's been good. And then I needed some ibuprofen right at mile 33, just keep the pain off there. And then there's a stretch. It was a big old heartbreak hill. It was I think it was about 3 mile stretch uphill, this asphalt road in the middle, like no shade whatsoever. And you're just going up, I think 1,700 feet, and you're just death marching all the way up it. You're dying. There's people on the side just like puking, or this guy's just trying to hide in whatever shade he can find. And it's just like, it's brutal, you see. And I think you just notice like that could be you at any point. So you try to help out as best you can. You want some water. Everyone always says, no, I'm good. But, so we get to top of this asphalt road, and we just got a long stretch with a, water aid station 8 miles away. And it's just brutal, potholes everywhere, up and down, up and down, up and down, the sun and everything. And it's just, I started going through some fields up there. I felt better than I would say most people I passed and stuff, but it really wasn't, I would say, game time until our second cruise station at like mile 52. Mm-hmm. I picked up my pacer, and my cousin Tim, he's a beast. I can put him, he can go in automatic mode, like power hiking mode at like a 15-minute mile pace the whole way. Yeah. And he's just trucking up this thing. And so we had our fastest stretch from like mile 50 to 70 and everything. And it was just good to spend time with him, talk and kind of in a way suffer with him too. Yeah. It's funny how in this community you pretty much bond off your suffering. Yeah. Trauma bonding or something. So it's super, super fun. We've done a lot of adventures together and everything, but it was just really cool that he was able to be there for me for this. After mile 70, nighttime's already hit, and, I'm hurting, and I got to go up this steep mountain, I think 1,500 vert here in about under a mile. Ooh. So, I mean, yeah.
I saw footage of that.
It was brutal, dude. And I believe it's right next to like the Red Bull Rampage, like the kind of the climbs that they have out there for that. But geez, dude, my cousin recorded me a few times, and you could just hear me saying underneath my breath. Yeah, and all this stuff,
walking sideways.
Yeah, no, dude, I was out of it. I was just like, I just want to get up this dang hill. It's cold, but then I was hot because I was climbing up this hill, and man, I would be, complaining about some 16-inch step up that I have to drag my leg up this thing, and so we ended up getting up this hill. And we had, 20 miles left, and those last 20 miles were the longest 20 miles of my life. Yep. And my wife, we jumped in the car at mile 80 just to like warm up, get some quick food. And then there we go, jumping out of the car. It was windy, it was cold, it was dark. We saw some of there's some fast people out there, dude. We were on mile 80 and they were passing us to finish. And I'm just like, I wish I was you, but I got to go this way.
Not even close.
No, not even close. I got 8 hours or something. But yeah, so we get down this hill, start our one loop at Wire Mesa. And this was like between, I think it was around 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. And during those hours, you're out of it. I'm so happy I had a pacer. We walked by some people by themselves, and they looked like they seen a ghost. They were pale. They were just.
We ended up at Buffalo. Yeah, picking up people. Like people kind of joined. And I want you to finish your story, please. But there is no way I could do it without a pacer. No way. No way.
Nope.
And yeah, because we'd pass some guys that it's like, hey, why don't you stick with us, man? Because anyway, I can't imagine.
It's so brutal. No, I'm looking back on it. I was like, maybe I can do it by myself now that I know what it looks like. But during that time, I'm just like, no, I might go off of this cliff right now. So I'm done with this. But and what's crazy is this terrain just looks super similar. There was tons of switchbacks. Every time we thought we'd get close to the aid station, now turn around, go back a mile the other way, and I'm just like, son of a gun. So, but one thing that I like running at night. You got your headlamp, and you're just looking 2 or 3 feet in front of you, and that's all you got to focus on. And I can do 2 to 3 feet in front of me all day.
Right.
The second I see 100 yards, 300 yards, I'm just like, holy crap, I got so far to go. But we got through Wire Mesa, and the whole time we were complaining, this is stupid. Why are we out here? We got some hot food in us, and we had like one more loop to go at Grafton at mile 90 or so, and sun started coming up, and they were just like, okay, we're almost done, and I didn't think the transition from night to day would make too much of a difference on me, but you get this newfound energy just somewhere, and you're just like, okay, I feel good. My legs still hurt, but, I could at least see the finish line right now. And, at mile 90, your feet are tore up. They're hurt, and you're starting to get these new pains that you never had before. My hip was screwed up. I couldn't lift my leg up anymore. I felt like I was scurrying the last 10 miles, 15 miles or so. But we hit the last aid station just to go up to our final hill, and we can start hearing the cheering and everything. I was like, gosh, we are so close. And then it's so funny because you start hearing their cheering, and I just told my cousin, I was like, let's just go. Yeah. We just got to go. And then you see the finish line 200 meters away, and all the pain just went away. And I'm just like, what the heck is this? I didn't know if it was my adrenaline or what it was, but I felt so good, and I was running.
I think I saw your finish. Mm-hmm. Maybe your wife filmed it or somebody. Yeah. You shared a story a while back. And you were like flying.
Yeah, no,
into your finish.
I felt like I think it was still running 12-minute paces.
That's fine.
But I was. I felt so good that last 300 meters and everything. But it was just such a surreal feeling to just see your family once again. And how much, how little everything is especially when you see like your family, just like, this is what it's all about. And it was, it's probably one of my most favorite moments I've ever experienced my whole life. It was so good.
What made it your favorite? Because the family was there, because you had finished something hard?
Yeah.
Both?
I think it was just a combination of that. I knew I was not going to not finish. I knew I was going to go, how long it took. So I knew I was going to finish it eventually, but it was just more like, holy crap. I finished it in 28 some hours. So I thought I was super proud of myself for that. But then I was happy I was able to see my family there. They were here to support me, and just, it was just a collection of just all these feelings. Got to spend time with my cousin for 50 miles, and
he paced you for 50.
He did the whole 50. He should get his own award. Yeah. I was like, he needs to get something. He got a beer. He got a Modelo at the end. But he paced me for 50 miles, and like I said, he goes one gear and he just took off.
Just goes for it.
Yeah. But it was nice with him because we just played cat and mouse the whole time. I'd let him get about 20 meters ahead, and then I would scurry up to him. My walking pace was nowhere near his, so I would fall back and then scurry back up. It was a perfect thing to keep us distracted.
Yes.
But yeah, and then going back to like Wire Mesa, it was funny. We didn't say probably one word to each other for like 2.5 hours, just because we were both just trying to fight off whatever we were thinking about at that time. And it was just super cool to experience that with him. And then my family, seeing them at every aid station. I didn't know that they were worried about me. I was going out there. I just feel like I'm going for a run. But, it's kind of like anything can happen. People get hurt. People get sick. There was a guy that I believe had like some sort of kidney failure. He had to get ambulance. So, you can get pretty messed up out there. And it's just like my biggest concern is I hope I'm not ever being too naive, especially, because I have a family. I don't want to be doing something stupid.
Right.
But but it was just so cool to be able to, defeat adversity the whole time that I was just hurting. When I didn't want to go outside the car when it was cold or windy, and when I knew I needed to eat, didn't eat, but I made myself eat. Just these small wins, and then to just have all these small wins add up to just
the big win.
The big win, and it was just like, I'm done.
And the fact that the family was there the whole time.
Yeah, they were there.
Because that was one of my favorite thing about my family being there, the whole time. And I think when I was looking at, for me, that the community component of it, the significance of that sank in a huge, huge way. Yeah. My wife was my, crew chief. My dad helped crew.
Fun.
And it was just, that dynamic, I think, makes the experience so much more special, because obviously doing it is special, but sharing it, like I'd imagine even for your wife, that was a big day for your wife.
Oh no, she deserves, like,
she needs to recover.
No, she was even tell me she took a long nap. I mean, she was on a 24-hour shift. She would wake up at 1 a.m.
Did she slept a little bit, but
I think she slept 2 hours.
Yeah, I think my wife got like 4 hours total.
So and then a few times she thought she missed us just because she woke up out of a fright, and then I didn't know my GPS stopped working at mile 9. So it showed on her end that I was done, and she was like, "What the heck? I missed it!" But no, I slowed down.
No, we were
I was dying. I was dying. We were fine. But no, like I said, I think it would be good if I would have finished on her mile, but it made it so much more special that she was here. It was a collective effort. I could not have done it without her. Couldn't have done it without my cousin. Couldn't have done it without the aid stations, the other teammates, or the other running mates that I saw out there.
Yeah.
It was just, it's so cool, because you see like the same people. I would say the same like 30 people you see like the whole race, just in your pacing group. So every time I would finish a loop, someone else would be coming in that I know, be like, "Hey, how you doing? You need anything?" And it was just such a good feeling the whole way around. And I think that's just the ultra community in general.
Nothing better.
There's nothing like it. I've never experienced anything like it, and it makes it more addicting to just be a part of too. Yeah, it makes it almost easier. So.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's not just the running, like it's all of the things.
You just happen to be running.
Yeah. That is why I think we're so attracted to it. It's like, because you could go on a run anytime,
right?
It's all of the other things, the aid stations, the crew, the other runners, the scenery. I mean, all that good stuff. Oh. So I'm curious, especially because it's so fresh, 4 days off. Yeah. Has it changed you? What's the takeaway? Are you a different person now that you've run 100 miles?
No. I think you mentioned earlier, kind of like some sort of patience that comes with it. I feel like I feel like more softer, more in tune, more like I feel like I listen easier, or slow to anger, just all these things. I don't find myself being an angry person, but I find myself being slower to be bothered by something, just because, like you said, there's so many more important things in life that matter rather than, digital marketing, or, whether I don't get a lunch at 12 o'clock today instead, or, something just like these small things that would irk you. But now that I've kind of came to the other side, it's just kind of like a sense of peace that you get from it, knowing that you did something hard and you not only physically struggled with it, but you mentally struggled and you overcame it.
Yeah.
So, I feel chill. I feel good. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of a weird, somber feeling, but I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. Did it change your wife?
And like I said, I didn't know that,
because crewing's no joke.
It's no joke at all. Like, and I feel like we had a lax version of crewing. There's people who are like, do this, cook this, switch out this, get this in here. And I'm just like, can I just get a sandwich, please? I just want,
what do you need?
Can you rub my feet for a few minutes? I didn't know how much stress it actually put on her until after the race, and how much she was actually worried about me.
That's what the stress was from, was worry, not like the actual crewing. It was more of like not knowing how you were. She was kind of worried the whole time.
Yeah. And what was kind of nice with Zion, which I do love, is there was complete phone access the whole time. And she would check in with me every so often, but there in the middle of the night, she didn't check in with me as often because she didn't like to hear how I was.
Right.
She knew I was struggling. She knew I was hurting. She knew I didn't want to keep going. So she kind of let me kind of just experience this all in general. and in a way, I feel like that was kind of a good thing because I love relying on my wife. She's the best support system I've ever had, but it's good reminder to be like, hey, you can do this. You don't need anyone to do this with you. You can take care of this yourself. But at the same time, like, it's hard when you know that your family's worried about you too. You know, like I said, I don't want to be naive ever or put her in a bad position or my family in a bad position. But yeah, that's kind of like how it was. But at the very end, she was so pumped. She was so excited. It was so good to see her. Everyone's bawling. But
did you cry?
Oh yeah, dude. I was the last 200 meters. I was just breaking down, and it was just such a cool feeling. You know, I was thinking about my brother the whole time, and I have my family together, which again hasn't happened in a long time. And it was just almost like I want to say like a godly, heavenly feeling. But this is kind of like in my perspective, this is kind of what heaven would feel like. You know, I felt like the top of the world. Yeah. I could not feel any better. Regardless of how trash my legs were or how much I looked like garbage, dude. I didn't change my shirt, shoes, anything for the whole 100 miler. So it was, but I've never been happier in my whole life. So it was so good.
Do you think your brother was there?
Yeah. No. I would think about him all night. And I feel like I feel him all the time when I run. It just kind of hits me randomly sometimes, but and it's nice that I'm at the level that I'm at now because I know it kind of started with him helping me there back in like 2023 and everything. So in a way, it's 2024, but in a way, I still am able to carry where I first started this kind of.
That was the catalyst.
It was the catalyst.
Yeah.
And, I'm eternally grateful for it. I don't know if I would be doing this if what happened to my brother didn't happen.
Right.
I don't know. But I'm always grateful for it. I know I'm still attached to him in some way and I still feel him. And that's all that, that's kind of matters.
Is it almost like your way of honoring him or, because it almost seems like it's twofold. One is it's your journey, obviously, but that catalyst moment and those things like that, like it's almost, I don't know if you feel like there's an obligation for you to make him proud or honor him.
And I think that could be just, in general, or maybe it was the way I was raised up. I feel like in order to prove to myself, I need to make other people proud or make my brother proud or make my dad proud or make something proud. But I didn't do it so much. I don't say to make him happy because I know he's happy regardless with what I've done. But it was just almost like I had someone in the backseat with me the whole time, just pushing me every time I didn't want to do it or every time I didn't want to go for a run or, it was just super comforting to just have my brother essentially in my back pocket.
Right.
And I feel like everyone has that sort of thing, especially in the running community. We all have something that no one's going to be running 100 miles if they don't got something. They're just not. Or at least I haven't met anybody that doesn't have some type of
We've
story.
all got some screws
We all got some screws loose, or we all got a story, or something triggered us to do this crazy, crazy race. And it's just, I think that's another thing with this ultra running community is everyone, not just me, everyone has their own story that they can go on for hours talking about. And it's just fun. You get to really meet some people and you get to meet them genuinely.
I was going to say, you get to really know people.
No, really.
Like it's wild how, fast, true friendships, like real bonds happen, within the ultra running community. I think it's to your point. Yeah. You're there because you're there, we're not, if you're there for a reason.
Exactly.
Which is what I love about it. Like and it's especially, I think, in the ultra, and not to like downplay other running distances, but there's something about ultras where if you're towing the line in an ultra, you're a person of depth. Yeah. Like I have yet to, share some miles with somebody at an ultra and be like, I didn't really like that.
No, that's fair.
I'm like, God, I liked everybody. They're all just great, great people. So I'm curious, knowing, especially, considering the really rapid evolution of your running career and the velocity with which it's grown. what's next? What are your goals? What's on the horizon?
Yeah.
Are we going to see it at Moab, the 240, or what's the...
No, man, I don't know. Like I was saying, the last 20 miles, I was complaining. I was like, I'm never doing this.
Once is plenty.
So dumb. This is so dumb. But like I said, the pain starts to go away a little bit, and you just start scrolling and be like, okay, what's 6 months out? What's 12 months out? What sounds fun? So I know I'm going to get a few more hundreds in somewhere, especially in the community here. I have some good friends who, I mean, my good friend Lizzie, she's done the Tahoe 200.
Yeah.
Beast. Never, I don't think I'm doing that. I don't think I'll do 200, at least not yet. But yeah, at least not yet. But I mean, living in Moab, it makes it hard not to, because I mean, it'd be pretty sweet to just knock out the Moab 240, but it's a whole nother level of just pain.
Whole nother level. I watched a film on the Moab 240 just recently from this year.
Yeah.
And the difference, especially now that I've ran 100, the difference really sunk in for me. There's 22 mile stretches without aid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mile 150.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what you'd have to, even just the logistics?
Yeah. Even all the stuff you have to carry.
I was going to say, forget the pain, forget the dark, forget the, where you are, navigation, whatever. Yeah. You've got to carry 4 liters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
A couple thousand calories. I mean, a whole nother.
And this is going to take you 8 hours.
A whole nother thing. Yeah. Yeah.
If not more.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I in my current mind right now, I can't imagine doing that.
But running's not going away.
Running's not going away.
Hundreds aren't.
And like I said, I don't want, now that I'm at where I'm at right now, I think it'd almost be dishonorable to lose it, you know? I love, like I said, I love being able to, at the spare of a moment, I can go run a 20 miles.
Yeah.
I can go do a 30 mile if I really wanted to. And having that, that's a cool feeling
for a baseline. It's so awesome.
I love it. But I think definitely want to knock out some more, 50s, 100Ks, 100 milers. Why not? Let's just do some more.
Why not?
Get used to it. And then let's kind of see what it.
Spoken like a true ultra runner. Why not? Just get used to it.
Just get used to it. I don't know. I definitely want to focus more on growing the community in general.
Yeah.
Stabilizing myself either here in Moab or, going back to Grand Junction, doing that. But just really going off of this, and I feel like it's just kind of a gift that I've been able to work and be able to give myself that I want to help out others with. Yeah. Because I mean, I wasn't anyone special when I started, I did 5Ks. A lot of people do 5Ks. And, what's kind of nice about ultras is, I mean, you walk.
Yeah,
you walk a lot.
You can be slow.
You can be slow, and it's great. You get food, you get Coke, you get, you get whatever you want. But anyone can do this, and that's kind of the crazy thing that I see now is
literally anyone can do this, and that's what's so. I share that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to have that message too. With ultras and life, but anybody can do this. I'm. In fact, genetically, I'm subpar. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got nothing, in terms of natural.
I ain't going elite or
talent.
anything like that. No.
But my point is and you hear people say it, but it's so true. Truthfully, if I can do it, anybody can.
Yeah.
And I mean that so sincerely. I love hearing you say that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do this.
No. It's kind of funny too, because I think the more I do it, the more I become more obsessed with it. I love it when people ask me about running, as nerdy as that sounds. I love it. And I love it when people ask questions about what do you eat or what do you do? And I feel like I feel like I give them too much information. I'm just you need to calm down because you look like a psycho right now. But no, anyone can do it. I mean, and really what it just comes down to is just you got to just be consistent. That's it. That's all I've done. I set my schedule. I do it. Like I said, I like to take pictures of what my current workout is. Yeah. And I'm just all right, let's go do it.
The workout.
Let's go do it.
Well, what another perfect, and that's why, I mean, we could talk for hours and hours about, the parallels with ultra running in life, but that right there, perfect example. It's here's today's task, do it.
Yep.
It teaches you so many things about forgetting how you feel, being disciplined, doing what has to get done no matter what,
Right.
sticking with the plan. I also hired a coach for the first time ever this year, and I got injured. Not his, nothing to do with the coaching, but my running just exploded in quality once I had the accountability of a coach and a training plan, and I PR'd a marathon on a treadmill by like 40 minutes. You know, it's crazy. I had no clue I was capable of that stuff. And then I got hurt and, you know, everything went off the rails. But it was cool to see because he made the plan and I'm like, well, I had the same mindset of like, today I'm doing this, whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
The plan is this and that's the plan. And then it makes like the hard things in life. Like, because I think a lot of times people think about ultra running in terms of, you know, and we've talked about it, obviously, like dealing with our traumas and like the big stuff, of course.
Right.
But it also helps you with the little stuff.
Yeah.
The phone call you don't want to make.
Yeah.
The conversation you don't want to have. You know, the meeting you don't want to go to or whatever. It's like, it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
It's on the schedule today. We just do it.
You just got to do
Not
it.
nearly as hard as what I have to do after, you know, or whatever. But I love that you brought that up with the watch because I've noticed on your Instagram, you post like what your watch says you're going to do. And then you post that you've done it. And it's like Jocko Willink posts his 4:30 a.m. watch every day. And people like, they're like, oh, you know, they miss the point. It's like, no, it's a different photo every day.
Yeah. No, it's not the same one I'm saving or something like that.
Like it's today's workout. Yeah. So I love that.
No, and again, that's super nice about having a coach because then I don't have to take the brain space to question myself whether I'm doing the right workout or anything like that. And it's good that he's already been through this before, so he knows what to do. And then he gives me the schedule and I'm just like, okay, let's just do it. Yeah. And then that's all I get to focus on, which I love. Yeah. So instead of doing, because I feel like I tend to be an overthinker sometimes. Even if I'm doing a workout, I'm like, well, is this the right workout for me? Or should I be doing like intervals instead? Or so he really just helped me just get the stress out of it and I just got to run. Yeah. And that's what I love to do. So yeah, no, it was perfect. And I think everyone should get a coach just for that reason alone, to at least get a good schedule and understand type of workouts to make you better. And I love it.
Yeah, Josh, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Thanks for being vulnerable and authentic. But also thanks for what you do on a day-to-day basis. Thanks for building the community. Thanks for spreading positivity. Yeah. Thanks for inspiring people, running, 100K training runs like a crazy person. Yeah. But so I have a gift for you because of that. So these are my Inspire by Example shirts. Hey. And I'm trying to kind of have a movement because the whole point of this podcast is conversations with people that inspire me. And you inspire me. You're inspiring by example, living the life you're living, putting it all out on wearing it all out there for the world to see and sharing it and spreading the positivity and building the community that you're doing in such a right way of doing it. So I want to thank you so obviously much, for being here today, but on a much larger scale. Yeah. Thanks for being who you are because the world needs more of it. Thanks, and I've just thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Yeah. So thank you so much.
No, this is fun. I appreciate this. I'm going to wear this probably tomorrow or something. So perfect. Thank you so much, man.
It's awesome.
Great.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, of course.